No. Then you just get to for her crock.
There you go. Andrew's getting reacquainted, huh? You take some pictures for Sherry since she couldn't be here.
Ah, yes. Same way he's checking it out. That was a close one getting you out of here at 7 o'clock. No.
Why didn't you tell Grandma?
What?
Then you got the manure off real good.
Come on, you guys, go back to playing tag.
You too, you do it.
They kept saying, where we? You have that earring for life?
We're going to see if there's any lights on it. Almost on the way.
I think you were tricked.
Yeah, I didn't know before. You're going to get autographs? She was just there. You got to say where my last name is. Oh, God. What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on somebody else.
Well, I didn't even see it. There's Mrs. Andrew, too.
You bet.
Good.
That was close. I seen that feeder and I thought we got to put that together too. Hey.
Probably better.
We're real glad to see everybody here. It's real good to be here. It marks a lot of years, a lot of friendships, a lot of happenings, a lot of good ones and bad ones. And under the table here, there was an oak table there, and would you like a piece of pie? And I ate it, and Dorothy said, fine. Melvin said, you want another one? And I ate a second. And it was always good. And it's hard to know what to say, but it's good to be here. And I can think back of years ago, Martha Bow was up there, and I was a 3-year-old, and words don't always come easy for people at certain times, and this is not an easy time. And she said, would you say grace? I was 3 years old, we never used the word, and I said grace. And you know, I got to thinking about that word, and I thought, you know, 114 years or thereabouts of God's grace on the same place. 40 years of God's grace on the same place, and 3 good kids, and a mother and a father here. And this house is old. There was only 3 children reared here, Melvin told me, and that was his. But they had a lot of fun. There was a lot of parties.
No, I never had any parties.
Oh! sense. It's just good to be around neighbors and friends. And this Mark, and we're thankful to live in a neighborhood like this. There's a lot of places that you can't do that. And there's 6 out of 10 people here tonight of the family, and that's great. Jim informed me, he said, I'd like to be there, but Doretta's going to run a VCR, I'll look at that. And he said, so I'm there in the spirit, and I said, great. And I just think it's good. And everybody kind of chipped in on a gift, and Kurt and I talked on the phone a couple of times, and he said, I was here last week, but I'll come again. And I said, we're going to try and make this a surprise, you know, it involves a lot of family, you know. And Josh and Ben did real good around the hogs tonight at 5 or 7. They said, we got to get to town, Grandpa, we got to get to town. We got to get to town. And they said, Grandpa don't know anything about it, does he? I said, not yet. Not yet, you know. So it's just real good to be here. And everybody signed a card here, and if they haven't, we'd like them to. And we're not really saying farewell and goodbye. We're saying thanks for being with us as a neighbor. My neighbor, yeah. Harrison, Section 10, from Section 10 to Story City, 1111 Elm, here we come. I carried mail and I got numbers mixed up then too. What we'd like you to do is to open this gift, and we'd like everybody to read the plaque which Kurt gave. And it's real good to be here. I'm glad to see everybody here. That marks a good neighborhood, marks a lot of friends, and you can't beat that. And I know that I've been invited for pies in there, and she informed me she has a stove in the kitchen and one in the garage. So there'll be plenty of pies in Story City at 1111. And the Norwegians have already got her baking. Dorothy's name was Lenning, and we pulled this old foot locker with Lenning on out up here, and Melvin thought everything was cleaned out. Well, there was a little disagreement. Connie had put some more, and Don bought some more, and basically right above us it's all cleaned out. Well, the good about it is it's all sitting in Dorothy's living room, neatly arranged already.
That's why you put that there.
So, Melvin wanted to know why different things and what we're doing here lately in the spring, and so at this time we'd like to have them open, and we'll have Kurt give a speech.
You need to give it now?
We probably let him open
No, let's look. I can give it right. Let's go ahead and talk now.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
As neighbors,
It's hard to follow, but I'll go ahead and say what I got to say.
okay, all right.
Oh my governor! Well, first of all, I really want to thank my neighbor that I grew up with, Marvin Cookemiller, for really pulling this together. And I appreciate that very much. And in the process of pulling it together, he asked that I would, also say some words and give her thanks. Marvin, from a neighbor point of view, and myself from a family point of view. And I want to do 3 things, so it won't be too long. I know you're standing. Well, I got a chair. But take a look. A little bit to remember the past, and a little bit to think about the now, and the changing, and then to think about the future. Just read something this last week. It says, before you leave, remember why you came. And I've been thinking about that. Before you leave, remember why you came. Sometimes we don't know exactly why we came until we're there for a while. And then we kind of discover, yeah, it makes some sense. But when you remember, some of you, you have to think history here a little bit. The Peter history here, it's really kind of surrounded by two points or two parentheses. In 1948, George Peter died. Our grandfather, our father. But when he died, already Melvin and Dorothy were courting. Now maybe some of you didn't know that. They were courting, and it wasn't long before they planned to get married and to bring in a little bit of a Norwegian bent into the household. And I remember them getting this house ready for that. You know, Colonel Lenning and those folks coming over and painting, and then, you know, I did learn one thing from the Norwegians very quickly about that, is when they would be over here working and it was time for coffee. I mean, there was nothing, you know, nothing would stop that. That was the most important thing in the afternoon, was to have that coffee. It was always my job to have that coffee ready, you know. And I knew that you had to have it ready on time, because when they were ready for it, they'd drive over in a big old Buick, you know. But think about that as sort of the beginning point, and then think about another turning point, another parenthesis, was the death of our mother, Alina. Some called her Lena. And in 1982. Now that becomes really a major block of history here in terms of Melvin and Dorothy's life here. Now think about that. There were some of us young bucks. Jim, who can't be here tonight, myself. Well, Richard was here too, but he was a little older. He was a little smarter than the rest of us. And two people, well, three people who really kind of helped us a lot in terms of that time. Our mother didn't drive a car, so Melvin, Dorothy, Leonard, frequently, you know, would make sure we got to a ball game or got to where we needed to get to, and really made a major contribution in terms of really what I think about is why Melvin, you know, tending to the family. And I think that because Melvin was living here and Leonard was living there, certainly those was very meaningful to my mother. I mean, knowing that security, the presence that these guys were here taking care of the farm, tending to the family, taking care of the farm, and raising a family. I mean, all of us, I think, I myself, would be proud to be a father of Calvin, or Geraldine, or Doretta. And it just happened. But it happens because you have caring parents, and parents who are willing to do some things. So why are you here? Why were you here? Tending to the family, tending to the farm, being a good farmer, nurturing and raising children, good children, and being a good neighbor. Those are the reasons that when we think of the past, those are the things that we think about. And I think for those four major contributions, we should give them a hand. Now, you think a little bit about the change, the time now. The time to move on. And when we think about change and we think about moving on, and it's not always easy. It's not always easy. But certainly in times of change, let me tell you, in times of change, whenever you're going through change in life, particularly if it's a major change, one of the things you learn very quickly, who cares about you? Who really cares? And let me tell you something. these folks here tonight, are folks who care. And I'm telling you, I want to thank all of you for really standing by and coming here tonight and being a part of saying, you know, through time of change, we are with you. We stand with you. We walk with you. And I hope that certainly this relationship continues just because the geography changes a bit, but that the relationship continues. You learn who stands with you, and you also learn what's important. Certainly when you think about farming, and you think about the experiences that a person has, family, and all that, there is a lot of joy, and there's a lot of woe. And in those times you learn the importance of what really counts. Our loved ones and our faith. That becomes very important. Knowing in that sense joy and woe, in a sense we're sort of free to move on. And a part of that moving on is letting go. Say, well, this is finished. Our need to be here now, that's finished. It's sort of like, I know, growing up, and when we said, well, you know, maybe we ought to quit thrashing and do what all the neighbors are doing and start combining our stuff, you know. And I mean, it's sort of like, well, that's done. I mean, we don't need it. Cookamullers always were combining. Peters was thrashing. And I said, well, it looks like the combine's going to win. So, we just learned that that's enough. We move on. In a sense, we give it up. Marvin is one who has done a lot of work with the Amish. And it's sort of like, I remember one story about the Amish. This guy moved into a neighborhood where a lot of Amish people were living. And as they were moving in, they carried in, you know, their VCR and their, you know, disc player and their stereo and all their electronic tools and computer. And this Amish guy came over and he said, if you ever have any problem with any of that stuff, you come over and see me. And he said, well, are you an electronic technician? I mean, can you fix these things? He says, no, I can just teach you how to live without them. So that's a piece of that, I mean, in terms of the joy and the woe. And in the times of change, in those times of change, we learn that there are times to let go. There are times when we know, when we find out what really counts in life. And there are times when we look ahead in that sense of hope. And looking ahead, that's what we need to do now. There is a, you know, it's sort of like in life. There's the first age, you know, and that's when you're young and growing up until you leave home. Then you raise your family, and then the family leaves home, and then you move into what's called the third age. So you're moving into now what's called the third age. Don't work the third one. There's a few things I want to say about that. One is when you move into town, living in the city is dangerous. So you got to learn how to take care of yourself. You know, it's like out on the farm, you know, you walk quarter mile down, get the mail. The pigs are out over there. You run out over there and you chase those pigs in, you know, and then you walk over there. In town, you know, you got to get a loaf of bread. You jump in the car, you use the door opener, move down, buy it, you know. Your neighbor, you want to go see your neighbor, you want to go to the hospital, block away, you drive down there, you know, and you drive all over. So what they do in town is they build golf courses. So you got to pay to walk. And let me tell you one thing about that game of golf. And I figured you were going to get into that. Chasing that golf ball around is the same as chasing pigs. I mean, there are some who are just stubborn. They won't go in, you know, and there are others who are more cooperative and they'll move right on in. But it's the same thing. It's just the same thing. But certainly, when you think about the future, and you think about the third age, and a new stage, a new beginning in life, really, that's what it is. It's a new beginning. And the words that I would really like to send with you, this is, by the way, just for some of you who think you might, you know, maybe this is a sermon so you don't have to go to church tomorrow. But it's a word, it's a part of my confirmation message, the Bible passage that I got for confirmation, and it's been a word that's been a powerful word for me through many changes in times in life, and it's the word that really God spoke to Joshua when Joshua was going to go leading the children of Israel into the promised land. Joshua 1:9. Be not afraid, neither be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And there are a couple of things that I would like to add on to that thought after we've had a chance to talk, and even if it's just individually, and you had a chance to look at your present. But I'd like to add one other thing, is that we are with you also. We're here tonight because we love you. And we want you to know that. And I want to say to you, Melvin, and you, Leonard, too, and to Dorothy, I want to thank you for these last 40 years of living here, farming the land, and being here. It's time to move on. But thanks for the fact that you have been faithful. You have been faithful. And that finally is the measure of life. We're not called to be successful. We are called to be faithful. And that's when I think of Melvin, I think of Dorothy, I think of Leonard. I think you have been faithful.
Melvin, Dorothy, new friends are like silver. Keep them. But don't forget the old, they're like gold. And this is kind of big and it's kind of lopsided, so this is the bottom. You can maybe,
Okay, put the bottom up on top.
well, some things are awkward, right?
Mr. Piper.
So we'd like you to open that first, and then this one.
Yeah, you opened it up. You opened it up.
If anybody has not signed this yet, Joe Peter hasn't signed it, and Scott Needy. Scott, he signed. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Didn't hear him come, I should say. Driving a diesel.
Yeah, it's upside down.
Yeah, you didn't have time to dig around.
Well, we was running hogs this afternoon.
Oh, brother.
There you go. You help.
Yeah, Andrew, you help. Andrew, help. Grandpa.
You better truly tip it over. You're gonna have to tip that over.
You better help. You never do. Wait, upside down. Upside down, Mom.
Hey, he'll come out either side.
Yeah, come on, either side.
Lots of newspapers,
Yeah. You got a lot of paper in there. Yeah, open that up too. There, open it up. Just a little paper. Shit. Yeah, a great big box.
Tough times in the country.
Got a bunch of paper in there. Throw it out. Throw her out, Drew. Throw her out. Hey, take her out of there. Throw it out.
Yeah, she.
Oh,
That's all we need, another tooth shoved up.
oh my God.
Set it off.
It's not golf club.
Oh my God, we got another one. There you go.
Now,
What's that plaque say, Marvin?
Melvin Dorothy, farewell, 1990.
Nobody wasn't wearing a breakup.
There's a hanger inside there. There's a little hanger inside there.
Yeah, right.
There's a plaque in here that Kurt wrote. Everybody be quiet, he'll read it to you.
Always be grateful.
But he certainly, the thinking and certainly originates from Marvin there, but sort of put that together. In a sense, when you think about the collar is where the power from the horse to the plow is connected. In other words, if you don't have a collar on the horse, you won't get much power out of it in terms of being
Cheer
able
out
to
there.
plow. So the collar is where the power from the horse to the plow is connected. To think about that in terms of a symbol. The collar is a symbol for Christ. The person in the mirror. Why don't you show them the mirror? And maybe they don't see the mirror. Look in the mirror there, see? The person in the mirror receives the power of God through Christ. Jesus said, "For indeed the kingdom of God is within you." It's in Luke 18:21. Look in the mirror, surrounded by God's power. And this is one assignment or responsibility that I'd like to give to Dorothy. And that is a prayer here, but also that each day, you look in the mirror and think about the faithfulness of God. God's grace is new every day. And the prayer here is, "O Lord, you who surround me, you who are with me, you who are within me, guide and direct my days, that others may see within me your presence. In Jesus' name, amen." So on behalf of family and behalf of neighbors, we give you a gift, symbol of our love for you, as well as a symbol of God's presence, God's peace that goes with you. Thank you.
Sure. Gotta go to food and eat. thank for the present. Marv, what you've done. Yay. Dude is it.
We didn't move that far away. Thanks for everything and everybody come and see us.